Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. So, I am so grateful to be talking to Miss Kelly Geisler today. And the topic today, which we are just, she is so freaking lit up today. She's literally glowing. Are you ready to take radical responsibility for your results in life and business? Everybody, oh my gosh. So, real quick, my name is Hollis Citron. Anybody who doesn't know me, with my companies are I Am Creative and Express Yourself Publishing. And Kelly, you know what? We're just going to dive right in, and I want you to tell everybody who you are, and then we'll just go into these topics that we have to talk about. Life,
just all the time. So today, no. Hi everyone. Thank you, Hollis. I love collaborating with you. I am Kelly Geisler, the owner of the Butterfly Guide. I am the Butterfly Guide because I help transform caterpillars into butterflies. And that is often spiritual entrepreneurs that want to bring their gifts and talents to their soulmate audience, and they don't know how, or they're holding themselves back, or they're blocked, or they didn't go to business school. And I went to business school in 25 years and have a master's in business, but I also have 25 years in spirituality and in energetics. And so I blend all of that to bring a really holistic perspective of business ownership and really shortening the gap of bringing your gifts and talents to your soulmate audience.
There's this this is what I love about you is this balance. 25 years of business, 25 years of spirituality. It's very well-rounded, it's very holistic, and you are really able to see people in all of these different elements and aspects, which they might not be aware of. It's this deeper connection and awareness that you have to help bring them out. And that's why your gifts are so strong.
Thank you. Thank you.
Truly. So, okay, so we're going to kick this off. So let's talk about the challenges and roadblocks that people encounter.
Yeah.
That help them actually, it just gets them in the way from getting them to what they really desire.
And I want to actually take one step back and to say today is a big invitation for anyone listening or anyone watching us. This is not about shame today, or self-shame, or self-doubt, or putting yourself down, or anything. This is really about your empowerment. And in order to empower you to make the shifts that your heart and soul really desire, we need to get vulnerable. So we're going to talk about some things today that aren't going to be necessarily comfortable. You're going to want to turn the station off. You're going to want to not listen to us because we're shining the light on those shadows. But know that those shadows are wanting to come to light right now because they're wanting to be transformed, and they're wanting to be busted through. Because the one thing I know for certain is everyone, especially my spiritual entrepreneurs, your gifts and talents are needed right now on this planet. We are our own worst enemy of holding ourselves back, right? So the question, so I'm going to invite you again, lean back if you're listening. If you're not driving, just lean back. That puts you into receptivity. That really puts you into that rest and digest mode and saying, okay, for the next 20 minutes, 30 minutes, I'm going to get really vulnerable with myself, and I'm going to go look into those shadows and really discover what's holding me back. So the first question, let's look at radical responsibility.
Yeah. What that even means.
What does that mean? Yeah. And what that means is when shit is hitting your fan in your life, when your kids are falling apart, or you find out you're going to be a grandma and when you least expect it, or you have a health scare, or you're going through a divorce, or your parents, your elderly parents are crumbling, that means, or you're keeping yourself from hiding, you're hiding yourself, or you're keeping yourself from sharing and talking about what your specialty is. All of that are those blocks that, those normal things in life. And the radical responsibility is, even though I'm experiencing those things, I'm still going to show up for myself. And I'm still going to show up for my business. And I'm still going to show up for my clients. And I'm still going to serve. And I'm still going to shine my light. And even if it's, just good enough today, I'm still going to shine my light. I'm still going to participate in life.
Okay, so here, in listening to that, what do you say to the person that's like, okay, I'm going through a divorce. My parents are really ill and I'm full caregiver for them. How does one, because that, of course, is this radical responsibility. That's a lot of I hate to say excuses, but that's a lot of, they're real things. It's life, everybody. A lot of people going through it. How do we step up and be like, I am going to show up for myself? Is that actually taking the breath and like, I'm going to do today, go to the beach um,
Mm.
with my family? Or is it, are you talking about showing up in the space of, I'm going to show up for my clients with the face to face, even though I don't feel energetically in alignment right now?
Yeah, and there's so there you're touching on all the different aspects, right? So yes, one of it is receiving that breath and nourishing yourself to say, I'm stretched so thin. Or if you think about when we're expanding and expanding, or the shit's hitting the fan, or all of the stuff's happening in our life, it's like a pop blowing up a balloon. And I'm one step away from popping my balloon. And we don't want to pop our balloon. So we pause, lean back, receive a breath, and allow that balloon to come down and that pressure to release. And yes, the beach, the sun, the nature, that is radical responsibility. That is you saying to yourself, I'm going to intervene right now because my bubble's about to burst. My balloon is about to burst. And if I do that, everything else is going to fall apart. Right. So I am going to self-care, self-nourish, take radical responsibility for myself, and tend to my needs. That also is, so in that context, right? So when we do have all these other things that are pulling on us, that are needing our time, that are needing our attention, that looks like having boundaries and making space for yourself and making space for your needs and making space for your self-care. So I have a non-negotiable yoga practice. Right. And when I first adopted it, which wasn't that long ago, I was like, how the hell can we swear, by the way? We're swearing.
Yes, you can.
How the hell am I going to fit in another hour and a half daily practice? And I'm doing it because it's a non-negotiable. And it's like, wow, this is giving me so much space and so much freedom and so much expansion in my life because I'm tending to my own needs. Now, what you also said is on the flip side about radical responsibility is, showing, if you are a business owner or even an employee, it's showing up and serving and knowing that even though I'm going through something, I can still show up, I can still serve, and I can still be valuable. I can still contribute. And that's the really cool thing I think about right now in our industry, in our coaching industry, in our the entrepreneur industry, not in corporate. I was in corporate for 25 years. I'm not talking about the rigidity and the control of corporate. I'm talking about the entrepreneurship where you get to choose who you want to work with and what you want to do and all that other stuff. Last year, I was going through the start of my divorce. And I showed up so raw and so vulnerable in my Mindset Mastery program. And that is when I realized, because 3 years ago, old Kelly would have hid when she was going through shit. Last year, there was no hiding. I was leading 8 other women through a Mindset Mastery program, and I was living it and breathing it with them. And it actually tends to, every time I've run this program, I live and breathe it with them. And through the feedback, they said, Kelly, you make it, it's more powerful when you show up vulnerably. It's more powerful. I learn more when you're modeling the tools and the skills that you're teaching us. And that's when I realized, oh my goodness, I don't have to hide my, shadows or my struggles or my obstacles. I can lead with them and be even more impactful.
God, that's just so powerful in what you just said. And everybody, if you hear that, and again, this is where the discomfort comes in. And I could hear people saying, really? Am I like, you need to be ready to receive this. You need to be ready to be able to, and this is my perception of it, of being able to step in and be like, you know what? Like you said, non-negotiables, the boundaries. I am going to take those 15 minutes. And that's just what I'm going to do, because I'm at a point in my life where I can say, you know what? I'll talk to you in this amount of time. This is what I need to do for myself. And as you use the example of showing up in your group, I'm raw. You're going to see me cry. You're going to see me be angry. You're going to see me. Not everybody's at that point. But that responsibility is incredible.
And the freedom to be able to express it. I have just been taken back by a time in corporate where I had a month earlier moved departments. I got a promotion and I had left the project management office and was a manager in IT. and my whole PMO office got dismantled a month later. So I wasn't actively in it. And these people walked out of a meeting and cried in front of me. And I'm like, what's going on? And I had tears down my eyes. And my manager pulled me aside and said, Kelly, suck it up. You're not in that team anymore. Your other new teammates are questioning your loyalty to your new team. And I'm sitting here as a very, emotional, feminine woman that's like, I moved because my 7 friends just got laid off. 2, I can now embrace in my entrepreneurial journey, like I'm going through something and I'm going to use this as a teaching moment. But I had to hide that in corporate. I was, threatened in corporate to show my emotion. And now that's one of the freedoms and benefits because we learn from that too. Right? We learn from that too. And in that scenario, compassion was huge. And like I said, my clients last year is like, Kelly, you showed me how to implement the tools and the teachings that you taught throughout this whole program. You were showing us how you leveraged them in real time.
When you just said suck it up,
Yeah.
that just kind of, it brings up for me the images of this repression of you have these ideas, you have these wishes, you have these goals, whatever word you want to put in there. But if you don't let them out and you're just like, nah, gonna stuff that down. Kelly, suck that up. You can't show emotion that 7 people that you just know got laid off. You have to show loyalty to your new people. Like, oh my God, that's like not human.
Right.
It's taking, so thank you for all that you just said. That's
I actually want to add one more thing because I'm hoping people will resonate. And I guess this is me modeling, right? My vulnerability and my sharing. In the same corporate experience, I had multiple scenarios where they were silencing me to the point where I had a VP ask me for an update on my project. And she put up her hand amongst my peers and said, Kelly, shut up, and asked for someone else to update on my project. I spent 3 years because I was scared to leave my job. I was scared. I had great benefits. I had great pay. But it took me 3 years to unleash my voice because I was so silenced. But it was that awareness of, oh my goodness, I'm afraid to speak up. And it was just getting compounded in corporate. And so when I left and became my own boss, that was I really had to learn to embrace I have a voice and I have something special to share, and I'm going to own that and I'm going to speak from that. And that's one of the things of, when we're not taking radical responsibility, we can tend to be invisible. We can tend to hide the best parts of ourselves. And because somewhere down the line in our life, and this can start from early childhood, this can be in our corporate, this can be in our dating, this can be in any kind of experience. If we had military experience, we were conditioned to behave a certain way. We were conditioned to think a certain way, say certain things. We defined what we felt was good enough or not good enough for us, or what was possible and not possible for us. I remember when I wanted to become an entrepreneur, so many loving people in my life were like, what the bleep are you doing, Kelly? And all their conditioning was coming on me like, you can't do that. Well, why can't I? Other people do it. Why can't I do it? Right? And so radical responsibility is just saying, no, and it comes in all different fashions. And we've been talking about it, right? But I had something inside me, and it was deep inside me that said, Kelly, like, this is your calling. Go work for yourself. Go be of service. Go make a difference and an impact in those people's lives that you are truly called to do. But the radical responsibility part comes in to removing all the blocks that came in the way for me doing that. And it's still a journey. So I think I've heard a few people saying, and it's 100% true, you want to go on a deep personal development journey, become an entrepreneur.
Oh my God, yes.
You will face every one of your fears, every one of your limiting beliefs, every thought of I'm not good enough. Who do I think I am? That imposter syndrome, fear of failure, fear of I'm too much, I'm too little. All of that comes into play when you're an entrepreneur.
Yeah. So then tell us a little bit more about your journey in this. When that person put their hand up and was like, Kelly, shut up.
Yeah.
Was that your turning point? I know that quieted you for a while. Yeah. When were you finally like, I am taking responsibility and I am becoming an entrepreneur? What was that point?
Yeah. So that was probably like 18 months, I ended up changing departments. I tried you can tell when you're not in alignment, right? It feels like you're swimming up a creek without a paddle, but I was looking for safety and security. And the way that I knew how to do that was to get a very safe and secure corporate job. I was a single mom raising 4 kids. I had to pay the bills. I'm the main breadwinner. I have a lot of responsibilities. And so I'll tell you 2 things. It was December 31st, and I was in a meeting. So again, I'm a very spiritual person, 25 years of spirituality and energetics. And I used the word magic in a meeting, and I had a senior director pause everything and made sure she would dress me down in front of people because I used the word magic in corporate. And I'm like, I'm clearly not in the right place. And then it wasn't until 3 months later in my performance review when there was a mistake that happened 2 years earlier. I didn't invite the right person to a meeting. That was the mistake. And in March, I had my performance review, and my boss said, Kelly, I don't know what it is, but you have a target on your back. And that person that you upset 2 years ago is out to get you. And I said, I'm done. And you can't see me. I put my hands back. I said, I'm done. I'm clearly not meant to be in this experience. Wow. And I didn't want to go find an experience that I was meant to be in. I wanted to create the experience I was meant to be in. And that was the difference.
Freedom is the word that's coming to mind.
Yep. Yes. And I had my whole personal life. I was married at the time, who was incredibly against everything that I was up to. And know that I just said I was married at the time. And I think I told you a couple months ago, I just went through a divorce, right? It's being truthful to myself. It is being in integrity with myself. This is so fun because this is not what we were planning on talking about, but this is all coming out.
It isn't. I love it. But I think it still ties back to that word radical responsibility, because whatever you believe, multiple lifetimes, one lifetime, whatever you believe, we are here in this lifetime. And what I'm hearing you say is this is what you got to the point where you were like, I'm not just you're being radically responsible to yourself, your health, your well-being, when you were like, nope, I can't do this anymore. Like, I can't, I am not meant to be in this space. I'm not serving you. You're not serving me. It's when we get to this point, I can say, like, for me, when I left the school system, I wasn't mad at the school system. I just was at a point where I was like, look, we're not serving each other anymore in the right space. And this is where I need to go. And it just is a huge sense of freedom because it's a different mindset. It's a different way of approaching it, getting different results.
It's being in integrity with yourself, right?
Yeah.
Like, this is my truth. So one of the things you need in order to have radical responsibility is know yourself. Like, really know yourself, not what people have told you who you should be or what you should think. And I think about that. There was a Julia Roberts movie a long time ago, Runaway Bride, where I think, she didn't know what type of eggs she liked.
Yes.
And everyone kept telling her, you like this kind of egg and this kind of egg. So finally, when she took radical responsibility of her life, she made every single egg for herself. And she's like, you know what? I like that egg. That's a beautiful example, right? So being in integrity, I like scrambled. Actually, I love Eggs Benedict. Weird. I love eggs, and we don't have a lot in Wisconsin. So when I go to Seattle, I get Eggs Benedict all the time. It's being in integrity, being in alignment, living your truth, taking responsibility when there's blocks on your path or fears on your path, to facing them, to not letting them control your life, to say, you know what? I am aligned and centered in my heart. So by the way, your heart is your portal to your soul. So when you're really connected with yourself and who you are, that sits and resides in your heart and your soul. And then saying, you know what? I had a cushy, 6-figure job, well in a 6-figure job. And I was not in alignment with that experience. That was not okay. I was no longer willing to sell my soul for that experience.
Okay, so let's kind of segue into, I, of course, relate to everything you're saying, those watching live, catching the replay, give us a thumbs up. You understand, you get it. But let's hear some tangibles. So here's the people that are
Yep.
like, okay, Kelly, so yeah, I'm not happy in what I'm doing.
Yeah.
How can someone take
Yeah.
this radical responsibility and not feel like they're just floating and not accomplishing really what they want?
So you already did the first step if you're listening, because I asked you at the beginning to pause and just be open and be really vulnerable with yourself, because it is really scary to recognize, oh, I've been doing this because, I was raised to do this, or I've been told to do this, or this was expected of me, right? So awareness is number one, and being so vulnerable with yourself and honest with yourself to see those things and to say them out loud. Even what I remember when, I got divorced and I said, I'm unhappy. And this is, we're getting divorced. And my best friend's like, wow, you said it. Like that acceptance piece, that awareness, and that acceptance piece. I would say number two, really get to know yourself. And I'll say cheeky, figure out what kind of eggs you like. But that really is, what are your core values? What are your beliefs? What are your non-negotiables? What wakes you up in the morning? And if you know your human design, I do human design. I'm a human design expert. It helps you learn about yourself. And it helps you build a relationship with yourself.
Yeah.
My spiritual practice, my 25 years of spirituality has all been about understanding who I am and not being afraid of those shadows when they pop up.
Yes. Not being afraid of the shadows, everybody. I think that's a really important thing to point out, because you could go down many rabbit holes with this. You could go down the, oh my God, I suck, the shame,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
the guilt, the worthiness. There's a lot of paths that could lead, which don't feel good.
Right.
So, yes, maybe you do take ownership, but then how are we going to raise the vibration and what are we going to do about it?
So Hollis just said something really key. There's 4 levels of consciousness. Victim is the first one. We will all be in victim consciousness. Even the most spiritual of people will be in victim consciousness. That is a very normal thing. And I would say, allow yourself to be in it. Give yourself a timer, though.
Yeah.
Give yourself a timer, because victim consciousness is everything's happening to me. My life is sucking. What's the old saying, when, stop kicking a horse when it's down, or something like that. Like, really, when you're down, doesn't shit just keep coming at you? So it's like, okay, I'm just going to feel like shit for a moment. And I might be, be in the victim mode for a second. I remember calling up a friend going like, I just need to be a victim for 30 minutes. Can you just listen to me? And she's like, go for it. So I just want to say it's normal. And even for spiritual folks, very, very normal, right? And then make the choice. I'm not going to operate from that my whole entire life. I'm going to step into my choice, my empowerment. I can do something about this, right? That radical responsibility again. I can do something about this. What do I need to do? Hollis just said, step back and pause and go to the beach today. I'm ending work early so I can enjoy the 80-degree weather in Wisconsin today. And so again, generating awareness, finding out what's really going to tend to your needs. And depending on what's showing up, there can be so many different things. Depending on what's showing up, you can do daily things, right? But then sometimes you have to do really deep reset or soul nourishment. I had a client last year in my Mindset Mastery program. She's like, I felt like I just went to the ICU for my soul. And she was like drinking from an IV for months. And she would always say that. And she did it. She repeated the program again. She's like, I'm going back, into the ICU for my soul. So I'm writing my notes to make sure I stay on point. So what did I say? Generate awareness. If you're in victim, give yourself permission to be in victim, but then commit to not being a victim.
Yeah.
Commit to getting out of that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you can't get yourself out of the next step or the next block, reach out to people. There are so many people out here that can guide you, that have walked the journey, the path before you. And that's the really, really cool part, right? So I don't know if I shared this, but a dear friend of mine introduced this concept to me, and I love it. You know, the Russian doll inside of a doll, inside of a doll, inside of a doll, right? We all operate at a certain Russian doll. Doesn't matter which one it is. I'm not trying to say anything's better than anyone else. But if you're here, you've heard this saying is everything you want is outside of your comfort zone. Everything you want is actually in the unknown. You don't know. If you would know how to get to where you want to go, you would have been there already, right? So we lean on people, hire people that know how to get to the Russian doll because they're actually holding the bigger Russian doll because they walk that journey and they help you expand to the bigger Russian doll.
I love that visual. It's very concrete. And everything that you are saying, Kelly, is victim mode. Lots of people hang out there for a really long time, and that's where you stay. Once you get to that point, that obviously doesn't serve. You get to that point, you're like, okay, speaking what you need, taking that responsibility. Love this, everybody, to be able to say, call up a friend and say, I just need you to listen.
Yep.
I need to get this out of my system. I need to get it out. I need to express it. So it's not just in my head. There's so many times where I have made up these scenarios in my story, my head. And then like, if I sit down and talk to my husband, I'm like, we need to talk. And then we talk and I'm like, that sounded really dumb. Like it sounded a lot bigger in my head than it did when I actually expressed it, because there were so many ways that it was kind of going. I was making it so much bigger. So I really love that advice. And what was the other thing, that the last thing that you said? Yeah, just reach out to people. Like when you don't know how to do something, there's the vulnerable aspect in a sense. It's like, reach out, say, I don't know how.
Right. Because I'm no longer willing to be invisible, or I'm no longer willing to be silenced, or I'm no longer willing to be in a job that is crushing my soul, and that's the empowerment piece of knowing, that the glimmer of being out of the victim of, I'm not a victim of my circumstance. This is just an experience I'm happening. It's just showing me that I'm not in alignment with the experience, and reach out because again, what's in my heart and what's in my soul, what's in my truth is not that. So I'm going to change my circumstance.
So touching on the human design, just circling back, and then you're going to tell everybody how they can connect with you. I've really found this very helpful too. Doesn't have to be a follow it by the guidebook of this is this, this, and this. It gives such a greater understanding of who I am and how I function and why that kind of happens. Because what I've noticed for me, and then you can tell a little bit more. And Janika's so glad that you're here. She said, so well said, Kelly. Thank you for being here. Is that it's kind of like an aha and that's why this perceived block or something keeps coming up, because it's kind of in my way of perception and getting and doing things. So it's kind of like, so now that I know that, now that I can take a different approach.
Yeah.
So I won't keep kind of being the tail chasing my tail, and not moving forward.
And you said something huge right at the beginning. You said it's not a prescription. It's not a book you have to follow. And that's actually the key to human design. Human design is not meant to be another system that you give your power away to. We just talked about conditioning, right? And even as kids, we don't know any better because our parents are our authority figures, right? And so if they say, Kelly, you can't have blue hair. Well, then I'm going to always grow up to say, Kelly, I can't have blue hair, or I'm not good enough to go to college would probably be a more tangible one, right? If I was treated in a way because I'm a woman that I wouldn't be good enough for college, I would believe that because my parents are an authority figure. So human design is not meant to be another conditioning authority figure in your life. It is a guidebook. It is a blueprint. It is an invitation to say, this is how you're designed. Work with your design to really deeply understand yourself. So what Hala said, for example, is like, I know how to move in concert with life and in flow with life. One of my biggest ahas was And one of the things I love about human design is it teaches you how to make really good, it shows you the information and invitation to make really good, energetically aligned decisions for you in life. So one of my designs is when I am in a low, I am not meant to make a decision. And there's a lot more. I'm just summarizing here. So when I learned my human design 2 years ago, I used to be in lows all the time and I'd want to blow up my business. Or I would want to radically shift something in my life, like radically. And when I learned that and I applied it, I was like, I had to coach myself. You're not allowed to make a decision. You're not allowed to make a decision. I had to leave my computer some days because I wanted to like blow up my life. Last week, I had 6 days of a low because I was going through something really intense. And I'm like, you are not allowed to change anything in your life during this time.
Kelly, you're not allowed.
And that was something I learned. I learned that about myself because the old spiritual teachings would tell you, if you were feeling this download or this connection of, oh, I need to shift something, that's what they would teach you. Oh, that's resonance. Well, no, actually, when I really learned who I was and learned how I'm designed to operate and make energetically correct decisions, it's the opposite. So it's like, okay, this low is just a mechanical low, work through it. Don't attach meaning to it. Like you just said, I'm not going to weave all these stories, but you're certainly not allowed to change anything in your life because of it. It does a great job. Human design does a great job telling you how you're conditioned versus how you're truly designed to be. And like I said, the way that I do it is I really invite you to develop that relationship with yourself. Human design is not meant to be something else that you give your power to. It's to empower you and to say, oh, this is how I work. It shows up in my chart, really funny. It shows up in my chart that I have this consistent energy of dancing with the fear of uncertainty. I love it because I knew that about myself. And then it's like the chart shows it as well. I'm like, of course it does. And so with that knowledge, I build a lot of skills and tools I lean on when I'm getting really scared about uncertainty. I can use that information and leverage that information to support myself.
That's really beautiful. Instead of something being wrong with you, it's like, okay, this is kind of how I'm programmed and I know how to dance with it. This is a zone of genius.
Yep.
Like I'm good at this.
My superpower now to navigate uncertainty.
Yeah. Yeah. And it doesn't mean that you have to live in it from a bad space.
Right.
It really is a space of power. Oh my gosh. Okay, Kelly. How can people work with you and connect with you? So much freaking power.
So I have some beautiful, beautiful things to share with everyone. So if you are interested in human design sessions, this is April right now that we're recording this. It is my birthday month and I am doing 20% off human design sessions. So if you are interested, just take me in a comment and I can follow up with you and give you all the details. You can go to my website, thebutterflyguide.com. Actually, I'll tell you the coupon code is birthday celebration. You can take advantage of my human design.
Put it in here.
Okay,
yeah, it'll be there. Yeah.
If you are a spiritual woman who really needs a deep soul reset and want to be in an intimate 9-day adventure and soul journey and a soul remembering, I am facilitating a group of less than 10 women to Malta this year. Malta is the epicenter of the divine feminine. And it is food and nourishment and expansion for your soul. Malta, the first question I always get is, where's Malta, Kelly? It's 90 miles below Sicily. So that is on my website. We'll share that. And then if you are an entrepreneur who is stuck in their business, right? You are not where you want to be and you are still being held back by your fears, your limiting beliefs, your stories that you're telling yourself, all of that. I have 2 things. Like I do mindset work all the time, but I do have a masterclass coming up on April 27th, and it's the Consistent Income Masterclass. I help you from all the different avenues, the mindset, the energetics, the business tactics and strategies, and really spirituality to build that consistent income business so you can thrive. Because again, my goal is to help spiritual entrepreneurs bring their gifts and talents to their soulmate audience because we need you. And the reason why I know that's to be true is you wouldn't be given those gifts and talents for no reason. You're on purpose. So let's connect you with those people that need your services.
Ooh, what a great line that is. You're on purpose.
You are. And we know that by your human design because there's not, there's only one you.
Everybody stop squashing yourself down. Do not stop pushing it down. Whew. Your purpose, your purpose, your purpose.
Can I turn it on you for a second?
Yeah, sure.
So everyone, Hollis does an incredible job. If you are blocked in your voice of expressing yourself, if you have a story to share deep inside that wants to get out, that's Hollis's superpower.
Thank you. But it really is, it's all of this. It's this radical responsibility of realizing that it's not this one thing that you think it is. Like, as you just said, which thank you for mentioning that, it's not just about telling your story. It's not just about speaking your story or writing your story. It's the bigger part of thing. It's the connection. It's the giving yourself permission. It's the expansion that will happen. It's the connection to community. It's because we're not in this alone. When we are alone is when we feel the most helpless. So it's kind of when we are in a space where we are with others, then we can grow to do all of these things. And it's for me, people have said so often, I just thought I was running a chapter. Like, I had no idea that it was actually going to be like your person said, like an ICU for the soul. Like, I had no idea that it was going to be about that it was going to be about collaboration and networking and opportunities. It's just huge. So it is taking this radical responsibility and understanding, connecting, being vulnerable, everybody. Thank you for those who stayed to the end. Who have watched this whole thing, because as you can see, Kelly lights up the space and she truly, truly lives what she speaks. So you want to connect and get into her energy and her world. So Kelly, thank you for taking the time to chat.
Likewise. Thank you so much.
So appreciate you. And everybody, just thank you. Thank you for those joined us live. Thank you for those catching the replay. Give us a hashtag replay. All the information to get in touch with Kelly will be put in the thing on top, whatever that's called right now. My verbiage is just gone because I'm going to the beach.
It's 80 degrees. It's like we don't work when it's 80 degrees.
85 degrees. We're in Jersey. We're like the closest beach, which I'm grateful is like 45 minutes away. Nice. So yeah. So Hollis Citron with I Am Creative and Express Yourself Publishing. I am wishing you a happy Friday, sending so much love your way, and look forward to connecting soon. So goodbye, everybody.
Bye.